and welcome to the Abbey Church of Dunfermline on this, the Monday of Holy Week. You're welcome to what is a short time of reflection. Ordinarily, we would have met this evening at 7 o'clock for worship, and our service would have been a short service. It included a reading, a meditation, a prayer, and some reflective music. Tonight, it's a little bit different. Tonight, you have worship in your home. And so, please enjoy the words gifted to you, the words of a reading, of a meditation and a prayer.
Matthew 26, verses 6 to 13. Now while Jesus was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of a very costly ointment, and she poured it on his head as he sat at the table. But when the disciples saw it, they were angry and said, "Why this waste? For this ointment could have been sold for a large sum, and the money given to the poor." But Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? She has performed a good service for me. For you will always have the poor with you, but you will not always have me. By putting this ointment on my body, she has prepared me for burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever this good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her."
There was no social distancing that night. Through 3 years of being with those most in need of being valued, the boundaries of social exclusion and expectation were widening. In a world where women, children, the sick in body and mind, the disabled, had once been ignored, there was new vision, new recognition of the worth of differing representations of God-given humanity. There was no social distancing that night. As the woman silently wandered into the room, she knelt at the feet of a man she had known since childhood. The alabaster flesh of childhood was now transformed by years of sunlight, labour and walking, spilling the perfume of love, of knowledge, of compassion, of expectation across the calloused roughness. There was no social distancing that night as tears poured forth. She had been renewed, revitalised to be the one who would follow, who would share all she knew of God found in Jesus. The lack of social distancing was uncomfortable for some, who would have been happier if she had never walked into the room. She was a sign of the changing world being created through storytelling, the building of relationships, the breaking down of social convention. She was a sign that this was a peaceful and progressive movement of the invasion of God's presence, and not an angry, passionate battle that overthrew the authority of government and institution. The lack of social distancing was a reminder of the many for whom life had not yet changed. A walk down any street, and there were still homeless beggars, barefooted children, abused and broken women. The work was not yet done. The lack of social distancing caught the moment of being trapped between celebration of achievement, recognition of the continuing work of faithful people, and sorrow. sorrow for what lay ahead. In these days of social distancing, our arms ache to hold those we love. And yet to love our communities means a new way of living. Social distancing may mean keeping each other at more than arm's length, but it doesn't ask us to stop caring. Social distancing is not distancing ourselves from the feet of God. Social distancing should not create a stench of ignorance. Social distancing should be the perfume of compassion for those struggling for life and health, for basic provisions and hope. Hope. Hope for the future.
In the Lord I'll be ever thankful. In the Lord I will rejoice. Look to God, do not be afraid. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near. In the Lord I'll be ever thankful. In the Lord I will rejoice. Look to God, do not be afraid. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near.
Let us draw near to God in prayer. Let us pray. Even when we are at a distance to one another, you, God of relationships, are drawing us closer and weaving the story of our lives into a tapestry that speaks of your presence. In days when fear and uncertainty would stalk our thoughts, you are pouring comfort into life as new channels of communication engender an unexpected closeness. Tonight, we pray for those who will break the boundaries of social distancing to pour the perfume of care and compassion into the lives of those who are most vulnerable. We pray for doctors and nurses, carers and cleaners, who each day must ensure that those struggling for health have the help the most need. We pray for those working in care homes who entertain and love on our behalf. We pray for those offering personal care within homes, ensuring that loneliness is not overwhelming. And we also pray for those who live and love with those offering the perfume of care and compassion. For they are the ones who will wipe the tears and hear the frustrations. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.